welcome to Conversations. Today we're very excited to talk to a local artist and art teacher, Rachel Carroll. She was born and bred on the Northern Beaches and has been teaching for 20 years on the Northern Beaches. So Rachel has had many exhibitions, she curates exhibitions, and she's been awarded various art prizes, which we'll find a bit more about today. Rachel is currently teaching in her own studio, in schools and in the community, and she's an expressionist, an environmentalist, a curator, mentor and a philanthropist. So welcome, Rachel. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Nice to be here.
Welcome to Conversations.
Yes.
So I always like to find out how an artist first became interested in art. Can you tell us maybe what age you were when you started being interested in art?
Yes, surprisingly two.
Two.
But I think all toddlers are into their art. But I think I was encouraged because of my father, and so at the age of 2 I was even entered into competitions. So that was fun.
2. Okay. Look, seriously, I think not many people would have entered competitions at 2. That's great.
Yeah.
So you were brought up in a bit of an arty family?
Yes, my father was an artist.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, well, I do know Patrick Carroll, so, I love his artwork. Well, that's pretty funny at the age of 2. Can you tell me what topic? Do you remember what you actually put in your competition?
No, from memory there was a bit of figurative work happening back then. But that's a long time ago.
Oh dear. Okay, well, I'm gathering that you kept going through school with art. Did you have some good art teachers at school?
Yes, and I was very lucky because even now I go back to my old school and teach, and the same art teachers are there.
Wow.
And they still teach me. It's wonderful. Every time I go back, they got something new to show me, a new material to demonstrate. So,
wow.
Yes, I'm very lucky.
That's amazing. Oh, that's really great. And I hear in your teenage years you actually were nominated the Young Australian of the Year, 1998.
You have done your research, yes. Forgot about that one.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Oh gosh, that was a long time ago. I mean, at the time I was involved with a lot of projects and trying to get involved with a bit of charity work. But yes, it was very early on in my career. So yes, but it was an honour to be amongst those that won and those that were also nominated.
Oh, that's really great. And then there were other art prizes that you won. Have you got any memorable ones in particular?
Oh, I did win a scholarship to an art school in Mossman briefly when I was won a youth part of the Mossman Youth Prize, and there were a couple of years there that I dabbled in the Easter show. So yes, there's a lot of history there.
Yes, oh, that's really good. Oh, so we've gone through school, and then obviously you went on to university, and you studied fine arts at University of New South Wales, and you did your honours. So did you go straight to university after school? Yeah,
I did.
Oh, right.
I did think about going to TAFE first, but no, I got a position offered at COFA, so I went straight there.
Was it hard to get in? Like, you must have had a good portfolio. Did you have your 2-year-old painting in there?
No. I mean, strangely, back then it wasn't based on portfolio. It was based on your HSC mark. So
okay.
Yes, so the fact that I did well at school in art helped.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. So then I see that you did your master's in the natural environment. So your Bachelor of Fine Arts was the built environment, architecture and your honours. And then you went to the natural environment. So why did you do the swap? Why did you go built to natural?
Well, good question. There was a bit of a break in between. I went overseas for a couple of years and lived and painted in Scotland. And I went there for the architecture and also to New York and painted the buildings and kept going with buildings. And then at the end of my journey, I spent quite a bit of time up in the highlands of Scotland and painting the mountains up there. And then I realised when it was time to come back to Australia, I didn't know much about my own, outback countryside. So after exploring Scotland, I was like, okay, I'm ready to explore Australia. So that's when I came back and started painting at the Coorong.
Why did you go to Scotland in the first place?
Oh, I had a lecturer at uni and he was Scottish and he was very enthusiastic about the Scottish art scene. And I loved the idea of being somewhere that was next to nature and also a town, a city that I could walk around in. I didn't have to rely on public transport if I didn't want to. So yeah, it was just a nice small version of London.
Yeah, right.
And everyone else was going to London, so I thought, oh, why not something different?
Yeah, that is different. Hold on, you must have done some castles.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, many castles up there.
Yeah.
So what sort of landscape was it? I mean, quite different to Australia?
Yes, I mean quite moody and atmospheric, lots of soft colours, lots of greys, and yes, I noticed straight away totally different coloured sky, different blues up there. But yes, and not a lot of trees, yes, quite barren hillsides.
Oh, right, okay.
But I found that a challenge, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
After the confusion of working with architecture in cities, it was nice to, explore the opposite more or less.
Okay, a quick question about New York, because that would have been quite exciting. What did you get up to in New York?
Yes, that was a whirlwind tour of 7 days and nights where I didn't sleep.
Wow.
But I fell in love with the architecture there as well, and Canal Street from memory, an amazing art shop that's 4 stories, and I think it's still there. But yes, I did a lot of the subjects around Chinatown, and the Flatiron Building, I fell in love with that. And
what is that, sorry? Flatiron
Yes,
building?
it's a very stunning architectural, tall, skinny building that's on a corner. So it looks like
probably everyone knows that.
Oh no, I don't know, but it looks like almost like the front of a ship. That's how tall and skinny it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I enjoyed that and came back with that work to Sydney to have an exhibition, had a solo in Cleveland Street, and but yes, then went back to Scotland and decided I needed to see more green.
Okay. And then when did you do your masters?
So masters was 2008 from memory. I finished it in 2008, and it was at that time that I discovered the plight of the Murray-Darling.
Okay, because that's what I was going to ask you about next, is that you go through art series. Is that what artists do? They have a series of, they concentrate on a
body of work?
Right.
Yeah, I mean at university you're taught to create a body of work, so that's things that are going to fit into a room and can be curated into a gallery. How many of those works you create, it's up to you, and what components, some artists may explore painting, drawing and sculpture. At the time I was exploring painting, drawing and printmaking. So that kept me busy.
Wow, painting, drawing and printmaking. And so the Coorong, that would have been a beautiful place to go. Is the Coorong one of Australia's biggest bird sanctuaries?
Well, it does have a big bird population that comes over from overseas, from Iraq and other places, Japan. So it is a protected wetland. So yes, that was my first big project on the Murray-Darling, and I did that for all of my master's degree.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How long was that?
It was over 2 years in the end. Yeah.
Did you live down there?
No, I went on 2 trips though. I stayed for 1 week with 3 other artists. We camped on site and painted and drew on location. Met the local Aboriginal tribe and asked them as many questions as we could about the changes in the environment down there. And then I also met some scientists back in Sydney who were working in the area, who were able to help me about, the plight of birds and other, natural components of the area.
So the local Aboriginal tribe,
The Narrandigi.
Narrandigi. What sort of things can you remember? Some of the things they taught
you? They did confirm that the Coorong is 100 times saltier than the sea, and it's a lot saltier than it ever should be. And but they were hopeful that some of the water was going to be restored, and they were able to regenerate the region. But they had a beautiful garden right there on the Coorong, and they could take people on walks and talks and explain different parts of the garden and what different plants could be used for.
Wow,
Yeah.
It would have been fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
Wow. Did you meet Mr. Percival?
No, I wish I did, but I did paint lots of pelicans.
From Storm Boy, if anyone forgets the movie. What about, then there's the Barman?
The Barmar.
The Barmar.
Yes.
That's in Victoria.
So I travelled further up the Murray. I went to 7 or 8 destinations in the end over 13 years. The Barmar's a big red gum population.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yes, and it's right on the border of Victoria and New South Wales, near Deniliquin from memory. And I camped there on the river, and I was able to get up every morning and paint and take in the view and hug the trees. There were some amazingly huge trees there, I remember. Ones that you couldn't hug the girth of because they were so huge.
So the red gum's red?
Yes, on the inside predominantly. It is a bit hard to tell from the outside. But yes.
I know there's 934 species of gum trees.
Good.
Yeah.
Well done.
So the red gum is prolific, or is it on riverbeds?
In that region, it's prolific, yes.
Right.
In New South Wales, they cull the forest. In the Victoria, on the side I was visiting, they had chosen to reduce culling and stop removing the wood.
Right.
And also they were about to stop, for the first time ever, cattle running free through the bush. So they were trying to let the forest go back to its natural way. And that meant no logging and no cattle. So whereas New South Wales were going to continue as they were, so it was interesting to see how the two states had two different policies for one area they shared, basically. But yes, but it was interesting to talk to people. Sadly, the Aboriginals that were living in that area, the Yorta had left and had gone back into town. But I met some local loggers, if you like, who were prepared to retire and leave the scene because they understood the importance of letting the forest restore itself. So but it was beautiful because these loggers knew the place like the back of their hands. They'd spent their whole life there, and in some ways, they could see the importance of doing a little bit of logging because, it helped. He said it helped the trees breathe a little bit, so that was more room for others to grow and develop. But equally, he was happy to let the forest rest.
You met some fascinating people by the sounds. What artist influenced you in those days around the Murray?
Oh yes, so I was very interested in the work of John Woolsey, who was also another famous Australian artist who goes out into certain areas and explores and physics and collects and draws every facet of the environment. And a little bit of John Olsen, a little bit of landscape. John Olsen had actually been to that region and painted the Coorong before. So along the way there were a lot of artists I did tap into. I also took my father on some of these trips, so he was a great influence. We painted together on location. So
some of his work looks a bit Hans Heissen-ish.
Oh, okay.
Do you think?
Maybe some of his earlier work.
Yeah, earlier. Yeah, Hans Heissen was into the gum trees, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love John Woolsey as well. He gets really down into the intimate parts of...
the details.
Yeah, the details of it all. Oh, interesting. So if anyone wants to look up some of these artists, it's well worth looking up John Woolsey, isn't it? And what he got up to, and Rachel Carroll, obviously. So one other thing is it's quite hard to paint water, isn't it?
Yes, depending on which angle you take. Yes. I mean, there were points there where I was taking on a whole panoramic vista. So the water was a central part of the theme, but it wasn't always the whole painting, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So I was often interested in the surrounding trees and the surrounding undulation of the land.
Did you conquer reflections?
No, I probably didn't focus on too many reflections.
Right.
Yeah. But there was a little bit of that. Yeah.
Then from that series you went to the Oxygen series. So it sounds like you said that you're an environmentalist, and so you've gone from water to trees. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about the next series, which was called the Oxygen series. Am I correct?
Yeah, so I finished the water series in Kosciuszko, and at that time I felt like my journey had come to an end because I'd begun at the Coorong, which was the end of the Murray, and then I'd gone back to the source. So Kosciuszko is where the river starts. And at that time, I'd also become quite abstract with the water, and I was doing more aerial views. I felt like it was time to stop. There was a part of me thinking, I could keep going up into the Darling, but that's a bigger journey again. So I'd heard a lot about rainforests while I was travelling in South America, and I was exploring. I wanted to go to the Amazon, but sadly it was flooding at the time I was there. So I came back to Australia and went, okay, where's our rainforests? And went to explore the Daintree. But it took me 2 visits before I really felt I understood the area and I could go, okay, how do I paint this? How do I turn this into a series of work?
I mean, I do read about artists that are in a particular place for hours, days, years, just to study their subject. Yeah, right. How long did you stay in the Daintree?
Yeah, so the 2 trips were probably about a week at a time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so to do a bit of research and explore the area as much as I could, try and find some cassowaries, which is always a hard thing to do.
Is it? Oh, yes. Okay. And so the Daintree is one of the oldest rainforests in the world, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes.
right.
So that excited me. So I thought that's worth publicising. And it's one of the rainforests that I was interested in because it's also one they're trying to expand. They're trying to get as much land back as they can from local farmers and turn it back into rainforest.
So you're part of the Tree Veneration Society. Is that from up there or where's that?
No, that's all new and they're Sydney based.
Okay.
So that's just only happened in the last 6 months. Yeah, it's a group of artists. Actually, one of them is a lecturer from uni. And she started this to, engage people in a similar discussion about the importance of trees. We just had an exhibition at Christie Cotillard Gallery.
Oh, okay.
At Camperdown, so yeah.
With some other people?
The group is quite large now, so all the members of the, those that wanted to participate.
So when you say you're an environmentalist and you're part of the Tree Veneration Society, but with the people that were expanding the forest in the Daintree, did you get in touch with them much?
Yes, so when I had an exhibition in Double Bay with Francis Keeble Gallery, I got in contact with the, what are they called, Rainforest Rescue, and they're based in the Daintree. So they're a charity that's raising money purely for buying back the land. From last count, I think they're into 37 properties now that they've bought back. So every exhibition I have, I try to donate to a charity, often directly associated with the area I'm painting. And so the Daintree, I was able to support them, the Rainforest Rescue.
Oh, right.
And try and raise some money for them.
Fantastic. Right, because it takes quite a while to regenerate.
Yes, 3 to 5 years, they say, to when land has nothing on it, no trees, to full, active rainforest, which isn't too bad, really.
Yeah, that's true. That's fascinating. All right, well, let's move on to your past, present and future exhibitions. Sounds like you've had quite a number already. You do curate for some women. What was that? Can you tell me a bit about that?
So this is my 3rd year. I mean, I have been curating exhibitions every now and then in different places, but in the last 3 years, I've taken on my own personal project where I help other women have an exhibition, often for the first time. And this is something I just do for nothing. And I call out to women, or I contact often my own students and say, can you put together a small body of work and I'll hire a space and we'll have an exhibition.
And do you have a theme?
No theme.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay.
I leave it open.
So if someone's interested, they let you know.
Contact me. Yeah, I just choose people that are passionate and dedicated to their practice. And also people that are interested in learning how to have an exhibition and move forward with their career.
It must be really exciting. I always like that glass of wine at the exhibition.
Yes, that's a part of it.
Yeah, that's really exciting for people. And how many did you say you've had?
So this year will be the 3rd one.
3rd. And do you get a lot of the same people doing it?
A few are returning, yes. Yeah. But I do try and bring in some new ones each year.
Wow, that's fantastic. Let's just talk a little bit about your teaching. You're doing quite a bit of teaching, are you?
Yes, definitely.
In schools and in your studio. Tell us a bit about the teaching side that you do.
Yes, I'm teaching in a primary school. I teach in an arts centre. I do incursions at high schools when I get called up. So yes, I'm often doing at least 2 of those a year, if not more. And yes, I've got a studio on the Northern Beaches and I teach adults and children.
All right.
Yeah, workshops there.
How's the difference between teaching adults and children?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I mean, sometimes you try and teach, the same, give them the same idea, the same theme maybe, or the same subject. And it's lovely to see how adults approach it differently to children and vice versa.
Right.
Some are more comfortable with it than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're all learning at the end of the day, and it just depends at what stage of your development you're at, and it's just giving it a go, really. Do
you find that the younger kids and that are a little bit more creative and a bit happier to express themselves?
Oh, yes and no. I do have a couple of little artists that get writer's block, as they say, or artist block, and can't think of what to do next.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yes.
And the materials you use, I think you use encaustic?
Oh, so that's a new development, yes.
Oh, okay.
Traditionally I've been using, and I still do, a lot of oil paints and acrylics and watercolours. But in the last few years I've just started working with encaustic. It's all new for me. But I do teach that as well now as a workshop.
What is it? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. It's wax.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's ancient. It's 800 BC, Egypt. originally. They used to use it to protect paintings, and especially ones that were outside. But yeah, you're mixing beeswax with pigments, or you're using it with collage. So it's quite a versatile medium.
How do you mix it with collage?
So you can start with the collage base and then cover it with the wax.
I wonder if everyone knows what collage is.
Well, yes, maybe
Probably,
not.
I don't know.
Okay, come and do a class and find out. But no, basically collage is working with paper that you cut up and layer and glue together on an artwork. And then once the glue dries, you can cover it with this encaustic wax. So you can either use the coloured wax or you can use clear wax. So often when I'm working with collage, I use clear wax.
Oh, it does sound fascinating. So we'll have to look up some of your work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, is that the flowers?
No, the flowers were oil paintings.
Okay. Okay, so much I know. Okay, well, that's all been very interesting. Anything important or memorable about your role as an art teacher that you want to share?
Oh, I mean, it's always important and memorable. I'm never bored when I teach. I have so many lovely students, and their enthusiasm is definitely infectious. I guess, you know, whether they're adults as children, it's just lovely to see people switch off from the world and feel that there's a part of their life that they're in control of, and it's their time and it's their space, and it's quite calming for a lot of people. And yeah, it's wonderful to experience that. And also I use it as a way of connecting people with nature, you know, reminding people how to see the veins in a leaf. And I was even corrected by a young boy the other day who, you know, I said, oh, there's a lot of veins in that leaf. And he showed me the leaf. Yes, there are. And I was like, oh, I stand corrected. Very good. So yes, it's wonderful that we learn with each other all about nature and all about how to then turn it into an artwork. You know, I found out recently that, you know, a snail has 14,000 teeth.
Okay.
You know, this is through art.
What?
I know.
Okay, didn't know that one.
Yes.
But that's the thing about art, isn't it? Once you study something, say the leaf, then you understand and you learn so much more about it, and that's what the art teaching can do, like you say. It's so interesting to look at different colours and see in the way of more detail of an artist. Yeah, that's great.
And for me, if it can help people understand nature more, connect, appreciate nature, then ideally that experience is going to make them want to protect it.
Right.
You know, if you draw a snail, you may not want to ever tread on one ever again.
Yeah.
Because you've gotten so close to one.
Yes, true. And that was our mate John Woolsey. He would get really deep down and dirty with the bugs and things, wouldn't he?
And protect all them.
Yeah, too funny. All right, well, thanks. This has been fascinating. Thanks, Rachel. So what's next for Rachel?
Yes, good question. Well, I've got this women's show I'm curating, and that'll come up at the end of October. I'm entering some competitions coming up, fingers crossed. You just give everything a go. I'm going to try and enter some landscape prizes. And I've got, I'm going to donate some work to charity. I want to help try and raise money for Ukraine.
Oh, right.
Yes, and also for our flood efforts. I'm doing all that through Instagram. So that's, coming up for me.
Fantastic. And what about your dad's post?
Oh, yes. And I am putting together an exhibition for my father. Yes, it's a celebration of his life's work and everything he's done. And it's a bit of an overview of everything that he's done, including the last few paintings he was working on that no one's ever seen. So that's coming up in May at Rochford Gallery in North Sydney. All
right. Well done. That's really, it sounds very busy.
Yes, always.
Good on you. And Rachel, to finish with, can you tell us where we can find you, a little bit more about your classes or how people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. I've got a website, rachelcarroll.com.au. On Instagram, I'm at Rachel Carroll Artist, and I've got another one called Rachel Carroll Art. And if you Google my name, it comes up. I've got a little website for my art classes connected to my website, so you can find all the courses there.
Wow, fantastic. That's very exciting. Might have to go to a class. All right. Okay. Well, we'll finish and say, is there any sort of little inspiration, thought, or anything to give out our audience on art tips or?
No, I don't know. I mean, I think everyone should have a go at art. You know, even if you haven't done it since you were 12 years old or 7 years old, it's never too late to get back into it, and it's never too late to enjoy a new mental stimulation, but also a calming one. So
Yeah.
I say give it a go.
Oh, that's great. Look, it's been just a delight to talk to you, Rachel. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you for coming to Conversations.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.